Hey everyone, today we are checking out the LiGrip O2 Lite SLAM LiDAR scanner from GreenValley. It's packed with two 12 megapixels RGB cameras on the sides, a Livox 360 LiDAR sensors, a built-in RTK antenna, and a pair of 1.3 megapixel visual SLAM video cameras. On the back you find two mechanical buttons along with a phone holder bracket. The bracket comes off easily, just loosen the two thumb screws. It uses the same handlebar locking mechanism as the LiGrip O2. The package includes one battery and it's the same type used in the LiGrip O2. So it uses a proprietary charging port, and you will need to take the battery out of the scanner to charge it. The plastic base plate is the same one used on the LiGrip O2. Attaching the battery handle is simple. Just release the locking lever, slide the battery in until you hear a click, then push the lever back to lock it. Taking the battery handle off isn't as easy as putting it on. The phone bracket gets in the way, so I have to ace it out carefully to avoid bumping into the metal bracket. It also comes with a plastic phone holder. It also includes a USB-C flash drive for file transfers. File transfers are always faster with a USB cable, but the plug is tricky to remove because the phone bracket gets in the way. I have already broken it off its retainer once. In practice, you would usually leave the phone bracket attached, which means it gets in the way when removing the batteries or the USB-C plug cover. Since one hand is always holding the scanner, the phone holder becomes essential. You need the other hand free to interact with the mobile app. The phone sits in a good viewing position and the angle is adjustable. Compared to the LiGrip O2, I believe the O2 Lite uses the same V-SLAM camera module and the same 12 megapixels photo cameras. On the LiGrip O2, the RTK module has a USB-C interface and can be swapped with a larger disk-type antenna. But on the Lite version, the antenna is fixed. For weight comparison, the O2 Lite is slightly lighter than the Eagle, but heavier than the Pocket 2, SHARE S20, and the C1. In this review, I will also compare the O2 Lite with 4 other LiDAR scanners, but I will leave out the Eagle since its performance is significantly different from the rest of the group. To get started, I turn on my phone's Wi-Fi hotspot and launch the mobile app. The scanner automatically connects to the hotspot. After the connection is established, I need to create a project name and task name. With GreenValley scanners, batch processing only works for tasks created within the same project. Initialization takes about 30 seconds. During this time, the scanner should be facing a high feature area with no moving objects. If you are new to this channel, this 3-story house has been my SLAM LiDAR test site for the past 5 years. With its narrow corridors and staircases, it's a challenging environment where many scanners struggle to maintain tracking in a single pass. The SHARE S20 was the first LiDAR scanner able to capture this entire house with only minimal drift, but I had to walk backward up the stairs to achieve it. The Manifold Tech Pocket 2 was the first scanner that let me walk forward up the stairs, followed by the LiGrip O2. Now we'll see if the O2 Lite can also complete the scan moving forward. Some scanners like the 3D Maker Pro Eagle lose tracking once they reach the second floor. Others like the CSC navigation RS30 can maintain a tracking, but the result building model doesn't stand straight. The LiGrip mobile app includes a feature to slice building elevations, but the live preview screen isn't very informative. Blind spots aren't clearly visible, and since the O2 Lite has no rotating head, I need to tilt the scanner to erase them. Unfortunately, the app doesn't provide a high-detail live preview to guide this process. This scan will contain a lot of blind spots. Now I'm looping back to the starting point and stopping the scan. Now I'm transferring the file to my PC for post-processing. One thing to note, the O2 Lite's transfer speed is very slow, while the O2 can reach up to 140 MB per second. The O2 Lite only managed about 35 MB per second. Here in the LiDAR360 MLS, a GreenValley post-processing software, the first step is to click a new SLAM. It will prompt you to create a new project. After creating the project name, click the Cloud button. It will prompt you to select the project file from the scanner. Next, click the Start button to remap the point cloud. If your scan data contains GPS information, the software will automatically set the coordinate system. Once the processing is complete, the software displays the colorized point cloud on the left and the panoramic photos on the right. There's nothing more to adjust here. I prefer working with point clouds in the Cloud Compare. In the Tool tab, I use the Export command. I always export in LAS file format. The software also generates an accuracy report. With just 7.4 minutes of scanning, it only takes 8.9 minutes to process, which is impressively fast, about 3 times quicker than the LiGrip O2. The accuracy report shows that most of the scan data falls within 1 cm of error, but you shouldn't take this report too seriously. Next, in Cloud Compare, I will inspect the floor-to-floor leveling. The second floor appears to be very level with the ground floor. There is no visible gap along the window frame. The third floor also appears to be very level. The building is standing very straight with no visible gaps along the vertical lines. I bring the scan data into BricsCAD to detect any deviation. I will use the line offset command to offset from the ground floor to the second floor, and there is no detectable deviation. Then I offset the same line to the third floor, and again, there is no detectable deviation. Now let's check the level across the width. Once again, there is no detectable deviation. When checking the side wall with vertical lines, the building stands very straight. Now let's check the wall parallelism. There is a slight deviation. The walls aren't as perfectly parallel as with the LiGrip O2. There is also a slight deviation in wall orthogonality. It's similar to what I see with the SHARE and Pocket 2 scanners and not as precise as the LiGrip O2. Checking again on the second floor, the wall parallelism shows about 1 cm deviation. Let's compare the scan data. The O2 Lite in the middle shows 25 million points. The Pocket 2 on the right has 96 million points, and the O2 on the left reaches 110 million points. All three scanners clearly capture the ceiling board seam lines. Checking the wall cross sections, the Pocket 2 produces sharper corners while the O2 delivers the sharpest and cleanest wall lines overall. Looking at the floor, it's clear the O2 Lite has many blind spots. That is due to the poor mobile app live preview display, which doesn't allow me to clearly identify them during scanning. The wall corners of the O2 Lite appears rounder compared to both the O2 and the Pocket 2. On the far left is the O2 Lite, and I found that many of the staircases are missing compared to the Pocket 2 and the O2. In the middle is the Pocket 2, and it shows that all the staircases are fully captured. Same for the O2. The O2 Lite passes the 3-floor house test, but with many blind spots. Next, let's run the accuracy test. I first walk a 100-meter loop and measure a known distance of 30 meters. Then I repeat the test with a larger 560-meter loop and measure the same distance again. As expected, the larger loop used a greater accuracy error. To my surprise, the accuracy error came out higher than the others, measuring 37 millimeters. So I rescan and measure again. This time the error reached 55 millimeters, which is large compared to the other scanner I have tested that shows less than 10 millimeters of error. I don't believe this could be a thermal expansion since the wall sits on the pie cap, supported by 30-meter long piles. To be sure, I remeasure with the Pocket 2. It reads 30 meters with only a millimeter of error, which suggests that the O2 Lite may have issues with scanning outdoors. Next, the 560-meter loop. This test will show how well the software can correct a drifting error in a large single loop. To my surprise, the O2 Lite could not close the 560-meter loop and failed this test. You can see that the large gap overlapping in the scan data. The software completely failed to close the SLAM loop. Error correction did not take place. I have also seen a similar issue with the Pocket 2 in the early versions of its software. With the O2 using the same software and the same tests, this issue does not appear at all. I believe GreenValley needs to address this problem urgently. Here's a common problem you may encounter using the RTK.
Fixed solution. Single point solution.
When the scanner keeps switching
Fixed
back and
solution.
forth between a fixed and single solution, it
Single point
indicates a
solution.
problem with the N-trip networks. The N-trip network
Fixed
isn't
solution.
sending correction data quickly enough. Because LiGrip
Single
doesn't
point
display the RTK diff edge value on its preview
Fixed
screen,
solution.
I will demonstrate this using the Pocket 2. When the N-trip network is in a good condition, it sends RTK correction data to your scanner every 1 or 2 seconds. Many scanners such as SHARE, GreenValley, and FJD will drop to a single solution if the RTK edge exceeds 3 seconds. Today, the RTK diff edge is over 9 seconds, which means the O2 Lite cannot operate properly with RTK. The same applies to SHARE and FJD scanners, but with the Pocket 2, it can still work with RTK under these conditions. The number of usable GPS points is much lower than under normal network conditions, yet you still get GPS coordinate embedded in your scan data. I waited 3 days until the N-trip provider fixed the network issue. Late in the evening before editing this video, I had the chance to test the RTK Fusion SLAM of the O2 Lite. I tested it in the same location where I had tested the other scanners. The number of satellites was similar to both the O2 and the Pocket 2. The green dots represent the points captured with an RTK fixed solution. The trajectory is 486 meters long with a total scanning time of 9 minutes. 96% of the scan data falls within 1 centimeter of accuracy error. The yellow dots indicate the points where the software used GPS data to collect the trajectory. The point cloud appears dark because I scanned it in the late evening. I was concerned the network might go down again and I wouldn't be able to finish the testing video. The scan data contains GPS coordinates. I will check the ground alignment at both the start and end points. The ground level aligned seamlessly, showing that SLAM has corrected the RTK elevations. This confirms that the LiGrip O2 Lite has RTK Fusion SLAM capability. When I bring the data back into BricsCAD for the street map overlay, the maps align perfectly with the scan data. I brought all 5 scanners to my new testing site to evaluate the quality of the colorized point cloud and the 3DGS workflow. This is the base of the suspension bridge column. It has graffiti on all 4 sides. It also has a yellow strip blind walkway, which I use to maintain a constant scanning distance across all scanners. The quality of the colorized point cloud and the 3DGS is affected by scanning distance. That's why I need to keep both the scanning speed and the distance control during testing. The underside of the bridge also helps the scanner control vertical drifting, and there are plenty of features for it to lock onto. And here's the Pocket 2. Here's the SHARE S1 and the SHARE S20. For each scan, I will also record the maximum range, typically around 70 meters for the Livox 360 sensor, and the useful range, which is usually between 23 to 28 meters. I will also record the deviation between both ends of the column width. Typically, this type of column shows less than 1 centimeter of deviation. This deviation will serve to verify the scanner's rotation drift error in a semi-open area environment. There is one detail about the LiGrip O2 that I didn't mention in my review video. The maximum output range is set to 70 meters by default, and as you can see, it still captures a dense point cloud at the full 70 meter range. But this output range can be extended to longer distances. I extended the output range to 200 meters, reprocessed the data, and here's the result. The LiGrip O2 was able to capture the column base in the middle of the river 188 meters away. The wall line still appears as a thin line, indicating that the scanner maintains good precision even at this distance. In BricsCAD, I traced a line on this column base and offset it to the next column across the river 190 meters away. The columns are perfectly parallel. I couldn't achieve this with my targetless total station since it can't capture at that range without a prism. I know this is an O2 Lite review video, but this point is worth mentioning. LiDAR360 MLS includes an interesting 3D viewing function. You can set the camera angles and it generates a smooth movie-like transition between them. For the colorized point cloud, the LiGrip O2 can capture higher detail than the O2 Lite. The Pocket 2 delivers a more vibrant color. The SHARE S20 color output appears slightly washed out. The SHARE C1's color output looks noticeably more vibrant. The C1 and S20 are similar in point cloud density, but the S20's color output appears washed out. This demonstrates that the Pocket 2 produces better color detail than the S20. The O2 and O2 Lite share the same camera module, which is why they produce the same color tone. It seems the Pocket 2 can capture more color detail than the O2. Looking at the 3D results, both the O2 and O2 Lite produce the same color tone, though the O2 shows slightly more detail. The Pocket 2 delivers more vibrant color, though some human images appear slightly blurred. Similar to the colorized point cloud, the S20's color appears washed out and some jelly artifacts are visible. And here's the comparison with the SHARE C1. Between the C1 and S20, I prefer the result from the C1. Again, similar result between the O2 and O2 Lite. I think the Pocket 2 does very well in this camera angle. It seems like the Pocket 2 does very well for the high contrast area. And the SHARE S20 doesn't do well with the high contrast scene. It's overexposed. The C1 is also overexposed in this photo. And here the S20 versus the C1. And here the S20 versus the Pocket 2. This test was done at close range under 2 meters to see how well each scanner performs. There's something about the Pocket 2 that makes it perform exceptionally well at a close range. I walk the same path at the same speed. Here the SHARE S20 doesn't do very well in this test. Similar to the SHARE C1, the S20 and the C1 produce very similar results, and the O2 produce better result than the O2 Lite. In this photo, the O2 Lite projects my face onto the roof, which is quite unusual. Compared to the Pocket 2, the O2 Lite produces more consistent color, but with less details. You can't see the fabric wrinkles in its scan. In this case, the O2 delivers better detail with more consistent color. Here, the S20 produces an uneven color tone, and similar to the SHARE C1. Let's compare the 3D result at close range here between the Pocket 2 and the O2 Lite, and here the Pocket 2 and the O2, Pocket 2 and SHARE S20, Pocket 2 and SHARE C1, SHARE S20 and SHARE C1, O2 Lite and the O2. For all these tests, I set the 3D setting to high across every scanner. In conclusion, this is not a sponsor review. The sample unit was provided on loan, and I received no commission from any of the products tested here. The O2 Lite is listed at $8,090 in the EU, making it noticeably more expensive than its competitors. In the 100-meter loop test, the O2 Lite showed higher accuracy error compared to the other scanners. This may be due to a software issue when scanning outdoors. In the 560-meter loop test, the O2 Lite failed to close the SLAM loop. I believe this is a software issue. It aligns with the 100-meter loop test result and should be rectified quickly. In the bridge column wall parallelism test, the O2 Lite fell short, producing noticeably higher error than the other scanners. This confirms there is indeed an issue with outdoor scanning. The O2 Lite's tracking performance is solid. I was able to walk forward during the 3 floors house scan without losing alignment. The O2 Lite floor-to-floor leveling is very good, almost on par with the O2. For the Colorized point cloud, the quality is on par with the SHARE scanner, though the O2 still delivers the best overall result. Here's the point cloud density from the 3-floor house scan. The O2 Lite produced the lowest output, while the Pocket 2 generated nearly 4 times the point cloud density. The O2 Lite's useful range is on par with other Livox 360 based scanners at around 28 meters, while the LiGrip O2 can reach beyond 188 meters and still maintain very good precision. The GreenValley's mobile app performs poorly. While this doesn't affect the O2 thanks to its rotating LiDAR sensor, it seriously impacts the O2 Lite. During the 3-floor house scan, I couldn't see clearly enough to erase the blind spots on the floors. For the scan-to-beam score, I cannot recommend the O2 Lite. It suffers from outdoor scanning accuracy issues, and GreenValley needs to address this urgently. The O2 Lite's 3GS performance is on par with the other scanners. The Pocket 2 delivers the highest dynamic range images, while the O2 produces the densest point clouds. The O2 Lite bundle includes a perpetual license, but it is locked to a single PC. The O2 Lite's post-processing time is impressively fast, nearly 3 times quicker than the O2. The O2 Lite's GPS reception, including satellite count, is on par with both the O2 and the Pocket 2. The O2 Lite also supports RTK Fusion SLAM, and it performed well in this test. The O2 Lite comes with 512GB of storage, but its file transfer speed is very slow, comparable to the CSC Navigation RS30 I tested in the previous video. I didn't test the O2 Lite long enough to confirm its reliability, but I encountered no hardware issue apart from the pull-out USB-C cover. The O2 Lite supports point collection using a survey pole with an adapter, though I did not test this feature in this video. GreenValley told me 2 weeks ago they would release a cloud-based processing platform. It will be a paid service, whereas the Pocket 2 already offers this for free. Since this is a long LiDAR scanner review and these devices are a major investment, it's important to show the unit from every angle. Thanks you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.